Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pints and Quarts, a show brought to you by the Craft Beer Nation. It's been a while since we've been back in the saddle. You guys are used to the normal familiar crew, but we've had like the perfect storm in everybody's lives of just personal stuff going on. So we decided to let's just step back from Craft Beer Nation. Let's take a break. Um, Hate to keep you guys waiting for content, but nonetheless, we're back in the saddle and ready to rock and roll. So I thought the perfect time to come back on would be right on the heels of a friend of our show. This brewery making an announcement this week that made waves, at least through Northern Virginia. And if you've been following him, I'm sure you probably heard about it. But before we get to them, I want to introduce to you somebody who you're going to see a little bit more this season, my man Marcus. Marcus, how you doing tonight?
Doing well, man. Nat's got a bone-crushing win today, so I'm happy.
Back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
I'll take that any day of the week.
Baseball history, too, so I'm cool with it. And so with that said, not that y'all know who Marcus is, our guest of the night, Kai, I'm not even gonna try to say it last time. I'll try. Kai Leskowitz.
Pretty close.
Leskowitz.
There you go.
Leskowitz. Kai is one of the owners of the Aslin Beer Company in Herndon, Virginia. Kai, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, Randy.
Oh man, the pleasure is absolutely ours. You know, I always have a good time with me and you get the chance to hang out. So the pleasure is all ours. So that said, you guys made an announcement this week. Just to give people a little bit of background.
Mm-hmm.
I always get a mix up. Was it last? It was last year at Christmas, right before Christmas. You guys the brewery had been shut down, I think, for about a month, about 4 to 6 weeks or some of that, because you got a new brew house.
Yeah.
Put in and all that stuff. So you guys hadn't released any beer to go, and people couldn't even come in to get beer because, well, for a short period of time they could, but once you ran out of kegs,
yeah,
you could get beer to go, but no in-house pours. You guys had this big release. I don't know what y'all were thinking, dropping 6 bombs right before Christmas. And needless to say, it was a madhouse. You got some people who are occupy spaces near you, may or may not have liked the size of the crowd. One thing led to another. There were too many people in. Fire marshal came through and said, "Hey, you guys got too many people in here. You can have." And you're like, "What? Is this a kindergarten classroom? We can't operate a business with these paltry limits." So you guys changed your business model to no more on-site consumption, just beer to go, right?
I love your synopsis of it because it removes the vulgarity I would have put into it. and it's an awesome gloss of like the true behind the scenes, in depth, like how we got effed situation. But yes, we will go with that because it would just ruin everyone's night if we went through like the entire story.
Right. And also you still have to operate where you are, and you still gotta, you gotta maintain relationships and stuff like that, right? So
I'm all for burning bridges and like blockading roads before we even get started in a relationship. I'm totally fine with that. We made those missteps before. I'm not afraid to do it again.
with that, Kai, I know you probably feel the same way I do. Like, my opinion on that whole situation, I would think, a high tide raises all ships. So if you're bringing more people to that business park, because I know the first time I went there, I went to the brewery and I was like, oh wait, there's a little deli right here. There's a little dessert place. Let me go grab a tart for my wife to see how this tastes. And she's like, oh, this is great. I'm glad we went here.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I think I have the same thought about what kind of attributes that are intangible Aslin Beer Company brings there, other than this like product or something that's interesting, like, watching the people line up. But the exposure for all the other businesses, like, it's just, there's no way to put a value to that. It's a business park. If anyone's ever been to Aslin, and if you haven't, it's like the traditional brewery in the middle of a tiny business park that's tucked away off of a road that's been forgot about because of all the development everywhere else around us. And the businesses in there aren't necessarily like the top of the line, this, like the things you would see in the Reston Town Center or at Tyson's Mall or whatever, but they're good businesses. They're unique. They've got great people in them. They provide excellent services. And you would expect that you would feel welcome to bring a prosperous entity like Aslin in there. It's not necessarily true. There are some that are totally in our camp and helping us, and there are some that are just not.
And that's the thing, man. If that were me, I would have been like walking up and down your line, like, "Yo, here, check out my business card, baby. We do this kind, we do these services, we do these services."
The craft beer hobby is people that are normally either single with income that they have nothing to do with, or it's dual income houses that may or may not have kids. So it's like, hey, we have all this extra money to spend stuff on. Why not go to craft beer? And, oh wait, there is something else here besides this.
Yeah.
No, I know, and like. I would have to agree with you. Before we moved in there, I didn't know that there was a handful of restaurants down there that I now eat at often, including the vegetarian Indian place that is like
that's down there on the corner.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, and they know us by name now. We eat there all the time. I would have never found that place had we not opened the brewery there. But yeah, I would do the same thing. I would walk the line. I would put up pop-up tents. I would find ways to exploit that exposure or entice the consumers from one place to come to the other. And it's not done. No one's actively seeking patronage from our customers. It's like they don't think it commutes or something, which I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know what to tell those people.
Well, alas, we are where we are.
Yes, we are.
You guys went prior to Christmas. You guys went from being essentially a brew. I don't want to say a brew pub, but a brewery with a very successful tasting room. You guys sold a ton of beer. You had been very successful. Not to diminish it, but you guys were brewing on a pretty small system, and that's why you had to shut down to get a much bigger system, because you essentially couldn't keep beer.
Yeah.
So you're operating like that up until around Christmas, and then I guess maybe let's call it mid-January, you kind of opened up with just go.
Yeah, we had we went from like no production and low production to like medium, and just trying to aggregate that production up until we had figured out how the system works and what's good for us.
And so from that point up until now, let's just say from that point up until what's projected to be September, you guys have only been selling, you could get cans to go, you could get growlers filled. That's it. So can you tell us a little bit? You guys made an announcement this week that you found a second facility that's not far from where your current operation is, and that's gonna. Well, I don't want to.
No.
Tell us about this new facility. What your plans are for it.
So it's actually slightly like a longer story than you're probably expecting. But 2 years ago, when Drew and I launched Aslin Beer Company at the current location, we actually were seeking the location that is now the new location, 771 Eldon Street. It had just been like, this is, in 2015, April of 2015, we had known that the Subaru dealership across the street from this current location was being sold. So we went around and looked at like what other interesting buildings could be acquired. That we knew that this new location, which we're calling the Eldon Street location right now, is becoming available. So we pursued that as a possible first brewery location. But once we got on the inside and saw the interior and the state of the building, we realized it was going to quickly exceed the small shoestring budget we had put together between ourselves and, like mom, dad, aunts, uncles, and friends, like throwing a little cash into our kitty to get the brewery going. That's why we ended up at 257 Sunset Park. But the thing is, we were just like, we're constantly looking at how our business model is being executed, and what we did in a 5-year business model completed that execution in 16 months. And the whole time we're thinking like, okay, well, we're in 2,000 square feet. The first year we made 770 barrels on a 2-barrel system. We're clearly over production for this size space, let alone our system. So there's a system upgrade. Now we're like, okay, we're crossing this 1,200 or 1,300 barrel threshold now, and we're trying to hit 3,000 barrels. We're definitely exceeding the space. So we're looking at this in January when these issues started to occur, and we're going, all right, well, now we don't have a tap room, and we are clearly in a production space constraint. Let's go back and search the market. And we grabbed a friend of ours, Gail Bailey, who is like a local realtor, and he was like, well, here are the properties. And the first thing on his list that met all the criteria was that Horn property. The owner is, his last name is Horn. So the 771 Eldon Street. And we're like, well, we looked at this 2 years ago and we know the status. So we started to pursue that while we looked at other spaces. And it just kind of like took almost 7 months now to finalize the deal and iron things out. And if anyone's ever done any real estate, including personal residential real estate, you have all the inspections. And from there, things just kind of like either work out or steamroll into like another big thing and snowball into the next issue.
So I believe you guys, when you made the announcement, you said that you're gonna, is the 771 Eldon Street, is that gonna be your sour production facility or something like that? Or
yeah, sorry, I hope you can't hear that I'm typing, but I'm answering people on the side.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, right now. Okay, so hold on. I'm trying to paint this picture so that everybody can like kind of follow my train of thought. Can you hear that? Like text message thing going off? I hope not.
Yeah, but we're all humans here, Kai. It's all good.
So when we were building out the space and we're thinking, okay, production constraints, what are the brewery's priorities? Where are we going with this? We were saying like, okay, number one thing, we want to brew more beer in bigger volumes. So we kind of fixed that issue initially with the current space, which now we see is not true. And
you're still growing it.
Yeah, actually, next week we're installing 6 more tanks. Because oh man, dude, I can't even keep a single straight thought right now because there's so much going on at one time in like so many different facets of the brewery. It's hard to keep one single thought. But all right, so current space, yes, 6 new tanks within the next 2 weeks to be like installed in place and hopefully have some production into it. Because we no longer let people into the brewery for service, we removed the ADA required bathrooms and now have just one single bathroom, and we've gained maybe like 300 or 400 square feet back, maybe like 250 or 300 if we're lucky. And now we're able to like kind of alley face the tanks across from each other and make another tight space to work in. But that will take our current production volume from roughly 140 barrels a month if we were maxing out the system to just under 300. So we'll be doing another doubling of our volume, which takes the brewery from what it is now, 2 turns a day, 5 days a week, to 4 turns a day, 7 days a week. And hopefully, we don't all die from exhaustion.
Right. When you say 2 turns or 4 turns, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, sorry. The brew house is
Beer novice here. Sorry.
I just learned this last week too, so don't feel bad. Our brew house is 10 barrels, but our fermentation space is 20. So 1 turn is a single batch on the brew house. Two turns would make a full a full beer that we would ferment and then package. So 4 turns just mean we're either looking to make 40 barrels of beer in a single day to fill a tank, or possibly 2 different beers at 20 barrel volumes each.
Gotcha.
So
yeah.
So going back to the current facility, that's going to be your barrel house. There's a lot of your barreling is going to be done there. But what are you going to be serving a lot of sours at the poorhouse? Is that kind of what you guys want to get to?
So where we are now is the town. While all this is going on, the town passed ordinances that restrict brewery production value, and we got clarification on it recently. And their idea was if they could regulate how much breweries were producing, they could keep the brewery in that niche micro nano market and make it appealing. What they're forgetting there is that this is a free economy, and businesses that succeed or businesses that do well grow, and they will always exceed an expected volume. They said they tried to make that benchmark a volume that most breweries that are in this niche market stay in, but again, they're forgetting how breweries approach markets and consumer sales and things like that. So their number is 5,000 barrels. That's a high number for a microbrewery or a nano brewery. But for a brewery on growth, or any brewery that is trying to make some kind of regional play or even a state play, that is just an absolutely asinine number. It's low, and it doesn't make sense. Drew and I were having a conversation about it, and we both equated it to like if you had an artisanal baker and you told him you'd only make 100 loaves of bread a day, you know, and that's your maximum. Would the artisanal baker work in that town? You know, you just have to change the position and give them an analogous argument that's like just it shows that it's an invalid form of thought. So anyway, we're working on trying to get this production value changed so that we could ultimately put the actual brewery downtown. In the meantime, because it requires licensing from TTB and ABC to operate as a brewery, we'll be putting our low-grade, small-style brew house in there to turn test sours and things like that.
Okay. So, can you speak a little bit about the details of the new place, the size?
Sure.
So
the property that you showed up there, that's
yeah. I'm gonna let me throw it back up there real quick. Yeah.
So I have it. I can like email you real quick if you wanted to throw it up. But ultimately, you're looking at the leftmost side of our property. So if you're on Eldon Street, facing the 771 Eldon Street, to your right will be Center Street, and then to your left is Spring Street. And along that section of Eldon from Center to Spring is two buildings that are part of our property. The Horn property, which is 771, and then the building you're looking at now, which is like 765 Eldon, and it used to be a dry cleaners. Next to that on the left-hand side is like Metro PCS, then the Domino's, and then Jimmy's Friendly Tavern. Mm-hmm. Right, so we have that parcel, which is dry cleaners, the Horn property, and then behind Horn and along the side of Center Street as it goes back into Locust, it is where the Fairfax County had their like firehouse pop-up, and like while they were building the new firehouse there on Spring Street, and they had like a bunch of trailers and a few other things on that. That's all part of our property. For now, we're breaking it down into phases. And so what you're looking at is the renovated version of the dry cleaners.
Okay.
Basically what the plan is going to entail is everything you see on the right-hand side is exterior decking that covers like the access way and what is like a small alleyway. The front's going to be refaced. We'll shore the walls up and actually raise the ceiling height from what is now like 8.5 feet or 9 feet to 12 to 14 feet, and then increase the weight rating for the roof and expand basically what is like a 3,400 square foot single floor building into roughly 2 times that, and hope to have like available space in that 3,500 square foot range once we have all the appliances and things like that in there.
Yeah, that's going to be a perfect spot because, I mean, I've been through downtown Herndon, and that's like downtown, like historic Herndon from the details that you're giving me. That's going to be a great spot because it's right there on what is their main street. So I'm excited for you guys.
Thanks, man.
What's the projected finish date on that?
Okay, well, so 7 months is like from the time we started negotiating all this stuff. 7 months kind of put us back. Originally, we were going to have this open for the anniversary party, which was scheduled for September 16th. It looks more realistic that this is going to be a December launch sometime. If we push hard and we get things done, we could maybe have a late November. But right now, the hiccup's going to be getting everything through the fire marshal's office and having that approved. Because it's a bureaucratic system, it's literally like waiting for people to review and stamp things, and otherwise we could get to work.
Right. And I was talking to Randy about this before we hopped on. With the town of Herndon, like this is all new to them because I'm guessing they've probably never come across this issue. Is that part of it, that they don't know exactly what to do and how this normally works? I
would have to agree with that. The town of Herndon and the people they have in the positions to do the research for their job are very familiar with how to approach new problems. But because the town is a council, there are people that are on and are listening to these arguments that just don't understand the concepts. They like a really good example of this would be like how long it took the town of Herndon to get food trucks in. Now, if anybody's familiar with how a food truck works, most people do. You would think that the counter argument of, well, why would anyone want to eat out of a truck when there's a restaurant right here? Would be a valid argument, right? But that is ultimately the argument that was placed that this is totally anecdotal, but there's the argument that was placed that upheld like why food trucks aren't an option in Herndon. They do a lot of getting in their own way, I think. And I don't know if it's purposeful or if it's because they want to keep Herndon feeling like a small town without that kind of craziness. But then they go around and they approve Comstock development, and that to me, doesn't make any sense. You know, you want big money contracts to come here and develop stuff, but at the same time, you don't want the little local guy to do anything great and big. So it just, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I have a ton of opinions, but I don't want to, you know, sit here all night spouting them and step on people's toes. You know, I'm just speculating at this point.
Well, the good thing about that is you guys get to kind of have a hand in shaping what that new policy is going to be, right? I mean, it's going to be, you guys are experiencing the growing pains, but at the same time, that also makes you guys trailblazers, and you know, you can kind of hang your hat on the fact that you're for folks who come after you, and you're going to be the OGs in Herndon when it comes to this thing. So
yeah, I appreciate the positive spin, man. It makes you feel really good.
It's true though. So like when Green and Gardner Brewing Company come together, and we're like, we're gonna go to Herndon. It's like, oh, we can just, the Aslin guys already set it up for us. We're good to go.
Yeah, exactly. We would love another brewery in Herndon strictly because they would be like right behind us, and they'd be like, dude, these guys are right. Like, I can't believe they put up with this shit. You know, together.
So Kai, one of the benefits of your new spot is that you guys are also going to have your own private property parking lot, right?
Yes. That, as of right now, if you're looking at the photo that you had up, right, that building leaves all of that giant parking lot that I was talking about that runs down Center Street from Eldon, you know, from the front of Eldon back to Locust. Like that entire thing is going to be an open lot. You know, everything to the right here that you can't see. There's a white building, you know, the Horn property, and then there's a giant parking lot. All that is going to be open. The best part is directly across the street where the Subaru dealership is now all municipal parking. So we have whatever spaces were available at the old Subaru dealership plus the municipal lot. So you're not walking more than, you know, a half a block to get to the front of the poorhouse, which for some of the customers that visit Aslin now is a much shorter walk than having to park like at the other side of the hotel or down the block and like actually huffing around the corner to come to the brewery. So yeah, I think access
now. You now, like, we've had some hot days this summer, and we've also had some really good, like this week the weather's been awesome. Like, if you guys wanted to, you know, now plan a party or, you know, just a random party or whatever party, you don't have to go and get a license to shut down the parking lot and get permission from other businesses. You can just do it if you want to, because you got your whole, you can have your own block party right there. And all you gotta do is get permits to beer outside. I don't know, what Virginia has some crazy laws, but
no. I'm laughing over here, and like I know the screen switches back and forth when like somebody talks or something, so you couldn't see that I was snickering a little bit. But that is exactly the problem we're going over right now with the town, is that the whole property that we have is licensed, this TTB license, so we don't need anything. If we're bringing outside alcohol, we've got to apply for like a one-day special event permit from ABC. But the town of Herndon has like 7 different applications for like a festival and event and a gathering of so many people. And they've got all these like constraints about like what time and date, and do we need to hire police or do we not need to hire police? Is there going to be amplified music? Well, the manager's got to approve that, so on and so forth. There's like hurdle after hurdle after hurdle. And I understand why and where it comes from and all that stuff. But and that was the exact same thought too. We're like, oh, right, we got this giant parking lot. We're gonna have tons of great things.
You just destroyed my theory right there. You can do whatever you want.
Some town clerk did it to me like 3 weeks ago, and I was like, there was all the air coming out of my balloon. I was like, oh.
But man, you know, we're happy for you guys, man. I think this is gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it because, you know, I try to. You know, you know where I live, and I try to make it out to you guys as much as I can. And now, you know, to be able to see this facility that you have planned, I know you guys work hard. I know you guys take a lot of shit from your fans because, I mean, the fact of the matter is, a lot of people, especially in the Northern Virginia area, the Aslin beer, they're also passionate about Ocelot beer too. I mean, you guys are two of the best breweries in the area, and you know, if people have the perception that something changed with the beer and it's not the same exact way it was when they fell in love with it, they're going to say something, but it's only because they care. But it doesn't always come across that way. And consequently, you guys have, especially like on, you know, Facebook groups and all that stuff, you guys have crap. and to see you guys persevere and to keep going and to now be able to open up what at least at this point appears to be a very beautiful facility here in the future. It makes me happy for you guys, man. I'm proud of you guys, and you know, you work hard, and I wish you guys nothing but, you know, more and more success and nothing but the best of luck when it comes to this, man.
Thanks, Randy. I appreciate that. I really do.
Marcus, you got anything else, man? Because I know Kai has to get up early in the morning. I don't want to hold the man too late.
You're over here, so I'm gonna hang out.
No, man, it's cool. I mean, all the same things that Randy said. I mean, I know every brewery, especially new breweries, are going to go through their missteps and the things that they have to work on. But I'm glad that when Aslin realized, hey, this is wrong, they're like, oh, hey, come on back. We got you back. I know we messed that up. At least there's an attempt to fix it. Because the thing I hate the most about craft beer is the negativity that's always associated with it. And then on top of that, it's when a brewery puts out something they know is a mistake. It's like, oh no, we tried to make a sour barrel aged stout. That's just how we intended it. It's just your palate's not ready for it. No, you messed up. Either don't brew, kill the barrels and let it all drain out and pour it down the drain, or say, hey, this is what messed up. We think it's okay, but let us know. It's either one or the other. It can't be just, hey, this is it. We're good.
Yeah, you try to make it right for the people who purchase the product, and I also know for a fact that if there's a problem, you guys try to fix it the next time. You try to solve or at least determine what went wrong in this batch, and you definitely try to fix it the next time you brew this beer, because obviously if you're refunding beer that comes back, you ain't gonna keep selling that beer the next time you brew it. But you guys listen to your fan base, and I think that's dope. A lot of people don't do that. They'll let their customers complain, and they'll apologize, but you guys apologize, you make it right, and you try to prevent it from happening again. So my desire to see you guys do well.
Thanks, man. No, I appreciate it. We really do want all of the consumers to be happy with their product. The last thing we want to do is use the consumers as like a testing ground for stuff that's not good. We don't put beer out that we all don't like or don't agree on. And it is an extremely democratic process. If somebody doesn't way something looks, it's immediately like, everyone stop what you're doing, come over here and let's take a look at this, let's taste this, let's smell this. Who else is seeing or thinking the things that we are without applying any kind of influence? So everyone knows when that meeting's called and we're trying these things.
Wait, I don't know when these meetings are called. I haven't gotten that memo.
Every day, 9 a.m. Yeah. So, but and we go through fairly stringent QC practices with from measurements and testing all the way through like storing cans for weeks and months and so on, like just seeing how things are changing and developing and testing everything along every stage, just so we can have an idea of what is happening with our product. If not, all kinds of feedback, good, bad, the crazy crap that's happening on Facebook or wherever is all read and evaluated for what it is at that point. Sometimes those nut jobs that are like on there just like starting fires to start fires have a valid point and have something to say. They just say in a crude, ignorant, and uneducated way. And that's fine. We just have to be able to break through all that and figure out what it is that is actually the problem. The other side is always like, well, how fair is their application of their critique? Does it apply to every brewery? Does it apply to some breweries? Does it apply to the breweries they just want to have a problem with for whatever weird reason they have a problem with this brewery? So that's something that we always evaluate and think about too. But again, when the complaints come in and they start to see the same style complaint or the same thing occurring in our product, you have to ask yourself, well, is this actually a quality control issue, or is this something that the brewery is attempting to do? If it happens in every one of our beers, it is something that we're probably doing. It is something that we might want it to be that way. And it's purposeful. If it's something that happens once in a while or one time and was an issue and we didn't want it to be that way, then yeah, we're going to tell you. So I mean, that's just my fair evaluation of what we're talking about. And an aside to that, it should be Green Gardener Brewing for sure.
Okay. I'll allow it because of the. I get it. I see what you did there,
It
Kai.
flows. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like fresh cut IPA. You know, it just, man, green thumb. Yeah, I did have one last question. This is it. I'm trying to figure out how to word this properly. So what means more to you? Is it getting the reviews from your peers, like your ocelots or people that are and also in Northern Virginia? Is it, you pull up, you're not pulling up, but you look outside the window and you're like, oh my God, it's like 45 people deep right now for this line.
45.
Or is it, no, I'm using non-hyperbole. It's usually like a couple hundred. Okay. Or is it when you pull something from the tank, you're like, man, this is so great. Like, what means the most to you as a brewer, as an owner?
Man, that's a tough question. I don't know. I actually like working with every one of my employees. I think that's my favorite part. I have a job that I'm dedicated to, and I like every single person I work with. I think that's the most important thing. Accolades from the industry and stuff like that don't really matter to me. And you were there when we were talking to Leon about this. Like, I'm so proud of every brewery that puts out for medals and puts themselves on the stage for people to judge them. And I'm not into that. Good for them for doing that. That's really cool. I'm so glad these dudes win stuff. It definitely means something to me, like as a consumer. And as an industry person, I respect that. That's awesome. I'm not interested in it. I don't want to do it. And it's not because I don't have a respect for it. It's just, all right, whatever. It's just not my bag. When another brewery comes to me, whether or not they're in the vein of my brewery or like the style, and they say, I really enjoyed this product. Yeah, that makes me feel good. That's like a pat on the back. It's cool because I definitely feel that way about a lot of breweries around us. And I'm sure there's going to be, a handful, if not more, that open in the next few years that I'm going to feel that way about. I constantly have customers bringing us different stuff to try or suggesting things, and I'm very interested in a lot of new product. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a combination of stuff. When I look out the window and I see a line of 200 people, I go, what the hell are these people got going on in their lives that they can do this? It's very flat. It's absolutely
you said it was humbling for you too, right?
It totally is. And it's completely scary and intimidating. You're just like looking at all these people that want to come try the thing that you're responsible for, you and your team are doing. And it's just like, I don't know, it's scary because what if it is shit? What if it really is crap? Like
it's literally people beating down your door, begging you to take their money. Yeah. Please take my money.
Yeah, I know it's tough. And I think about it from the perspective of a person who never really ever worked a normal 9-to-5 job. So like watching 9-to-5ers figure out ways to get here because it's that desirable is very interesting to me. And then finding people that are not 9-to-5ers there because it's accessible time for them is pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably a combination of all those things I'm describing now, to be honest with
you. So real quick, I swear this is the last question. Collaborations coming up on the horizon that you can talk about, or are you just not at liberty to say at the moment?
So like the reason I'm on tonight and Drew isn't because he's in a restaurant somewhere trying to have dinner on his way to meet me in Boston tomorrow. So he drove up Wednesday with Richard, and today they collabed at Graph. And tomorrow we meet in Boston to drive to Portland, and we'll be collabing with Barreled Souls. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with some of those products. And we got invited to come along to the main beer fest. So we'll be out there. I'm sure we'll make some relationships. And trying to think, what do we have? When we come back, Sean Peel from Cold Creek is coming down. We did a collab with them maybe last February. Last October. And we put that stuff in the Smuggler's Notch barrel. A lot of people who go to like Treehouse and wait out there are probably familiar with Cold Creek. They're like 15 minutes south from that border into Connecticut. So if you're not and you do go to Treehouse, you guys should probably go check them out. Sean's making some really good stuff. So he'll be by in the beginning of August to work with us. And then in the end of August, we're going to Dankfest with Modern Times. They sent an invite out there. So we'll be going out there and we're going to catch up with Horace H. Dales again, Kyle and his team, and work on something, and a couple other breweries we have on that list as well.
You didn't. I didn't. Out of all those breweries, I didn't hear you mention the Green Gardner Brewing Company.
I'm just.
Aslin collab.
I usually get an invite from them. No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, we're always down for collaboration, right, Randy?
Hey,
Absolutely.
bring it.
So look, earlier I mentioned Aslin, but also I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our friend Jake from Crooked Run. I think they just had 4 years earlier this week, right?
Yeah.
So congratulations to you, Jake. Wanted to give you a little shout out as well. But Kai, thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time tonight, man. I know you got to catch an early flight out in the morning. We appreciate you again. Wishing nothing but the best, and obviously you'll be seeing me and Marcus. And so yeah, that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching our show tonight. We're back in the saddle. We're still getting some more interviews lined up for our normal Pints and Quarts on Thursday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. So be on the lookout for a tweet or for a post or for something with us coming out as soon as we get some more guests lined up so we can get our show schedule rocking and rolling. So ladies and gentlemen, until next time, remember, find some great friends, find some great beer, and mind those P's and Q's.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.